to DWTT. Gary to my friends. Welcome to another edition of What I'm Thinking. I should be doing my show today, but I've got some family commitments that I need to take care of. As you know, we don't do this full time. So I am going to give you a couple videos today. So this is one of them. I'm just going to go over the Zurich game. I haven't really had a chance to kind of talk about the game in depth. I did a quick review after the game on Mr. Arsenal 89 podcast when I did a watch along, but haven't really been on another show since. Things have come up. It gets busy at this time of year, school's starting up and all of that. So yeah, I'm gonna go through the game a little bit and my thoughts. It's been a while now, so I've had enough time to probably listen to what other people had to say and see what my thoughts were at the end of the game and how they may have changed from what I heard or what I've seen. So I'll go into the game. Yeah. So Arsenal takes a trip to Switzerland. FC Zurich, a team who coming into this match definitely was not on form. I think bottom or second to bottom of the league. Haven't got a win yet in their league after winning it last year. Going through a little bit of a changeover there with management, coaches, and players and all of that. So you think this should be a time for Arsenal to come into a match where they should be able to overwhelm the opponent. Yes, it's on the road, but also you've got players coming into this game that should be looking to fight for a spot. And with that in mind, kind of let's go through the lineup a little bit. The starting lineup that we had here. So, we started it up, and one of the things coming into the game that I wanted to see was a couple of things. So Vieira in the last match came in and in 15 minutes put in two shots, and I'm like, all right, I want to see more of that because that's kind of what we're missing from that position. He's going to compete with Erdogan for that number, that attacking creative mid that you have there, and hoping to see him come in and maybe challenge for it and show us something different that that we're looking for. On top of that, for me, there were, Marquinhos coming in. Um, he, that was a thought at the time. He did actually start, which was really good. So it was good to see him come in. What he did in the U21, U20, U19, essentially his skill sets. Uh, it's below him a little bit. He needs a little bit more of a challenge. So it wasn't going to be worthy to keep him there, or he needed to go out on loan. Um, with the movement or non-movement in the window, he had a chance to come in and actually maybe show what he can do. So it was good to see him in the lineup in Kedia. Uh, he gets his first start for Arsenal. He's our number two, right? He's our number two, number nine striker, whatever you want to call it. And then, you know, who else? Well, one of the three were going to start, and as Martinelli was going to do that. Our midfield had Fabio Vieira, Sambi, and Granite. Granite basically plays every game. The man never misses a game. Availability is one of his stronger points. He's always there, always available. The back line is where I thought I would see something a little bit different, but I could see it kind of being okay. Uh, our fullbacks from last season, our starting fullbacks from last season, who would have thought that our starting fullbacks from last season would be trying to fight into the spot at this point in time? I think this is what everybody's wanted, and now we're at the point where, you know what, just because you started last year doesn't mean you start this year. Due to injuries, which is the reason why they're not starting, and it's a problem for us. You got Tierney and Tamiyasu, both coming in to play, their first matches, and I believe it might be their first starts, if I recall. Tierney's played some, Tamiyasu has played a little bit, but they needed to get a full 90 in there, and it was good to see them out there on the pitch. And then in the middle, the center backs. At this point, I thought that they would go with White because that's his position, as I recall. And Saliba and Gabriel, they've been playing every game, and they needed a rest. But no, he went with Holding. He went with Margulies. in that center back pairing, and we'll go into we'll review all of that as we go through the game, and then in the between the posts, Matt Turner gets his first start. We want to see how he does. He has not shown that hasn't shown has made us comfortable, right? When we have to go to our second goalkeeper right now. Will it take time? We'll see. Hopefully it does, because what we're seeing right now in the preseason we didn't like, and this is his first time to go out there and show what he can do. So, um, that was a lineup. And we'll go through. I kind of will touch on all of the players most likely as we go through this review, but we'll talk about the game. I'll take it into two halves basically. That first half, we come out there and I always feel like in the first 20, 30 minutes of a game, that's when Arsenal can basically jump on a play and maybe get something out of it really quickly. We've seen been able to do that against most teams. When we struggle to get anything out of those 20 minutes, I think it's going to be a long day. But in general, we should be able to, come into any game the way we've been playing and get some goals in pretty quickly and maybe take over the game and handle it from there. Similar game to that here. Um, I how do I say this? We need to we talked about this coming into the game. We need to be better, finishers, but more clinical in front of goal, and that's one of our essentially Achilles heel, as you want to call it that, as to how the games are going to progress. And until we come in and in those 30 minutes, you would think, the goal is so big that we just can't stop scoring. Um, it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle for us because when we don't score, we have problems. But if we're able to score early, I think that gives us confidence that we're gonna be able to score again if need be, and we've been able to do that, and we've seen it. So coming into that first half, I know we had multiple opportunities, but we only were able to score one time. Very nice play. I've seen this reviewed multiple times on different platforms. Vieira gets the ball, makes a couple of touches with the ball to open up space for himself, looks up the field, and puts in a very nice pass to Nketiah, who's taken off down the field. Nketiah is able to let the ball roll past him and then get into position to where he can look up and see Marquinhos, who at the point of Vieira handling the ball is still behind him. So Marquinhos takes up a lot, runs down a lot of real estate to get to where he is. And he's taken off, and by the time Nketiah looks up, he's already ahead of the defender. Nketiah puts in a nice cross. You can see the ball, like you see it in slow motion, it kind of bubbles in the air, but then it kind of settles down right in front of Marquinhos, who just puts the ball in back across goalkeeper. All he can do really is look at it. Very nice finish. First goal, first game, first start. First game in Europe, and Marcano scores. Very nice. And Keita puts in gets the assist for that. I mean, everything about that play is what we wanted to see from the players that touched the ball in that sequence. I think there was a block at one point that gets to Vieira, but Vieira and Kedia, Marquinhos all having a part to play in that goal. That's what we want to see because those three players, I believe, will hopefully quiet us a little bit, right? As fans, quiet us and get us to the point where we are happy with what we see when we have to go to the bench, because we're going to need to go to the bench at some point. And hopefully, what that also has shown us is that we can rest our starters from the Premier League and big games and let those guys play. Vieira looked really good. I'm liking what I see. I was hoping that he would get a score because of the way he was shooting, but he didn't get much of a didn't get much. I think he had an opportunity, but not as many as I thought he would in a game against a team that looked like they were struggling. So that sequence of play, like I said, really good for us. Martinelli, I kind of felt like he was in the game making plays, but I kind of feel like this is the point where you sometimes need to rest these youngsters. I mean, I mean, I'm glad to see Saka and Jesus on the bench and Martinelli. I think he probably wouldn't have played. I would hope if Milsrif Rowe was in there because Milsrif Rowe, even though we think he's a competitor for Erdogan, I think we've seen him play out on the wings a little bit more. And now with Vieira, and I think Vieira hopefully has shown that he can take that position and be a competitor for Erdogan. So there you go with that. Go to other two midfielders. Zombie and Granite. I think everybody's saying Granite has been playing really good, and I think that is true because we're not. I guess for me, really good means we're not concerned about him in multiple aspects of his game that we've seen in the past. Defensively, he doesn't have to do that as much, so that's not one of his strengths, at least in the Premier League and what we've seen. Going forward, he's been clean, tidy to some degree. Um, for me, that's I don't want to jump on the Granite chain, but that's why I feel like we can do better with that position. I mean, I think Arteta is comfortable with him, confident with him, but I don't think I think we can do better. If this is what how we're going to play that position, there are other players out there who, in an offensive mind, are probably better than what we have with Xhaka. But it's not a big concern to make that change. We've got so many other holes, but at some point if we're going to look at this thing as a whole and look for the strongest 11, there's probably one player that might have to go, and not because he's doing anything bad, but because we want to do more, right? Leno isn't doing bad, but we wanted to do more, and that's why we went with Ramsdale, right? So, we're seeing from our fullbacks that White and Zinchenko play their positions differently from what we had from Tomiyasu and Tierney. In some cases, Zinchenko probably can play that position all the time. We don't need to really fix. Whereas Tomiyasu, I think it's a case of defensively. If we need a more of a defensive fullback there, he's probably the best one we've got. Uh, but offensively, I think the other three, White and and Zinchenko probably better offensively, and Tierney's kind of in the middle. Defense is probably not as good as Tomiyasu's. Offense is probably not as good as the other two, but he's pretty sound, and we won't. You take it's a give and take. You have to give and take what you're gonna get from him. Yes, as you can hear, there's a horn blowing. I'm doing this with the windows open, so we're just gonna have to deal with a little bit of that as we go through. So that's the first goal. Second goal that is scored off. It's a penalty kick, but it's a play where Nketiah gets himself in a bad situation in the box, kind of runs through a play. That player knows he's behind him. You can see him kind of hook his leg around Nketiah as he moves closer and basically draws the foul. Nketiah probably got suckered into that move. When I looked at it, I was like, the offensive player, he created that scenario, but as a defender, you can't put yourself in that situation. He kind of, as you might say, may have fell for it, and they drew the PK in the box, and the kicker, the scorer of the PK, put put Matt Turner in the wrong direction. Very easy put away. 1-1 at half. I kind of felt like we should have done. It should have never even been that close, right? Not even that close. We had some opportunities there, but and I'll try to go through them. And I'm looking at a run of how the game was played, and I'll kind of highlight some of the things there. I think there was a part in the game where Gabriel puts Turner into a bad situation. It's a back pass. I think this happens in the first half. If not, bear with me. But it's in my mind, so I'm going to talk about it. Um, Gabriel, I think he, as some say, kind of jogged to the ball as it's going towards the defensive third. Probably jogs there. It takes too long to get to the ball. By the time he gets there, he has to put a pass back to Turner. Puts it onto his wrong foot, as some would say. Turner's not able to get the ball out in time and to clear it the way he would like. put himself under a bit of an issue there, and two players are collapsing on him. Partly because some would say Gabriel was a little slow getting him the ball. Worst case scenario, he could have just kicked it out of bounds, but he attempted to try to keep it in play, and they had an opportunity there, but he was under a little bit of pressure. Some of it, most of it brought on by the pass back to him, which we've seen multiple times from Gabriel. He doesn't put enough on his passes, or he puts it on the wrong foot, and he doesn't see the danger to help out his teammate when he does that. And he's gonna have to learn that one. That's why we keep saying. That's why I keep saying we need a little bit of more seniors, and we need some senior leadership on in that back line, especially in the center back positions. We just don't have it. So these guys are going to have to learn and learn the hard way, and what it's going to have to struggle through. Um, yeah. So Turner, I think he just right now we're not comfortable with him back there. I think he needs more games so we can see if it's just him getting the butterflies out when he's playing for Arsenal. And I think now you hear he's been a fan of Arsenal. That might be a reason why he's over put a lot of pressure on himself. But he should be. I'm hoping that he gets better at this. I mean, Um, I don't believe that him being considered as a number one U.S. goalkeeper, we're seeing that guy. I don't believe that. I don't think we're seeing that guy. He's not comfortable. He's not confident in his play right now. Um, that will come. I kind of felt like we needed to see a lot of him. Um, there's probably no time to do that in the Premier with the Premier League schedule that we had, but he needs to feel comfortable and competent back there, and I don't think Gabriel helped him out in that sense. So yeah, I'm just kind of going through some of the things that happened in that first half. Marquinhos gets a ball in with his left foot. He tries to puts a cross in there. Um, the header comes in to Martinelli, but as he puts it wide. I looked at that play because I was watching. I think I was watching Ball Over Passion, and to me, I understand. I know Nketiah's right there. I kind of felt like Nketiah and Martinelli being so close in the middle of the pitch at that point in the box kind of threw off Martinelli. He didn't really get a good run at it. Um, as many have said, he's really good with his head, but I kind of felt like that having those two players that close proximity to that cross coming in, and Nketiah probably was not the better man to get to the header. Um, was the case there. So yeah, the kind of this the way that this is going, that goal happens. A really nice play from there. Uh, Yeah, and then Vieira, I think, has a ball, has a shot, and he puts it over the goal. And this is one of the things we're inside that box, inside the 18, and we get a shot. You gotta at least get it between the posts where the goalkeeper has to make a save. A lot of times the goalkeeper doesn't even have an opportunity to put the ball, put hands on the ball and help us. So yeah, throughout the first half, one of the things that you did notice, Marquinhos was starting to get, there was some challenges put laid into him, and that's a good sign, right? Because that's like what we saw from Saka when he first was playing. People, may have given him space, but eventually realized, you know what? I can't do that. If I give this player some space, he will punish us. So we're gonna put a little, stay in there a little bit longer with our tackles, and really good. Xhaka took a shot tipped wide. I mean, we're having opportunities. At some point, I would like to see the goalkeepers having to make saves. We're getting so that's kind of where I go with that first half. I believe there were opportunities either missed because of just not really being clinical, or we just weren't clean with our passes, and opportunities were just lost. We never got to even see them happen. And that's kind of how you go into the half. Any subs at that time that I expect at halftime? Nah. I think we should stay with the same 11 that we had. Um, at this point, this is where we hear about the Queen. I'll talk about that in my other video. But the you know the news of the Queen happening, and then thinking about it in a football perspective. Um, what will Arteta do going forward? Maybe he will put in some of his starters now, because the thought is at that point, immediately when this happens, the Queen's death has been been reported on. I know a lot, at least a lot of people, that I was talking with, games will probably be canceled. There's going to be a time of recognition for the passing, and games will be canceled. So the fact that they actually did happen and then people got upset is kind of a little surprising because it seemed like everybody knew that was going to happen. They just weren't happy when it did. And then they weren't happy that it was only football, but we'll talk about that later. So the game goes on. Um, let's see what happens in the second half here when I'm going through this little run here. Sorry, I just need to drink a little bit of water. Been talking nonstop here for a little while. Mm. All right. Yeah, so early in the second half, Nketiah gets a shot, and that's one of the things that I'm noticing is that a lot of times you do get shots. Sometimes, if they are on target, there's nothing on them. They're like dribblers. They're like shots where the goalkeeper just catches them. So for me, that's a lot about what happens before we get to the ball. Our preparation, footwork is just never there. It seems like we never think we're gonna have to shoot. We're gonna have to trap the ball, and then go. How many times? I think if every other time we just took the ball one time, first touch, shot, we're gonna score. We're gonna put pressure on the other team, um, and that's what Eddie had an opportunity like that. Takes a shot, nothing really on it. I don't know if it was a save or not, but we need to do a lot of more of that. Um, we've got at this point 11 shots, five on target, but I don't feel like most of them were really putting too much pressure on the goalkeepers, and we should be able to do that. Put a lot more in. It never ever feels like we are going to score, and you hear this in games, right? You're listening to the game, commentators like it's just a matter of time before a goal goes in, and Arsenal isn't at that point where you're like, we are going to score soon because of how much pressure we are putting on that defense, on that goalkeeper. And that's where we need to get to. We're not there yet because we're not seeing it consistently. But there will be a time when we will just be, it's just like watching a City game. Eventually they're going to score. Especially when you see them time over time with attacks, attack, attack. Eventually a goal is going to happen. Some teams are able to quiet them down, but eventually they finish. We've seen them come through. And Arsenal, the way we're set up, similarly, we give ourselves opportunities. We just haven't been in the point where we are clinical enough where we can actually put pressure on the goalkeeper. A lot of times, maybe on the back line, but not on the goalkeeper enough. Tomiyasu volleys a ball over. Um, so yeah, another team. Now we're seeing teams now foul us, which I think is a sign of respect in the sense that you guys are hurting us. Later on, I guess this will be about almost 15 minutes. Oh, yeah, definitely 15 minutes. Over 15 minutes in, a third of the way into the second half, and Marquinhos, he gets the ball in the middle of the pitch, puts in a cross across the goal, and Nketiah is able to get on it, puts a header in right at the feet of the goalkeeper, right in the corner, scores with his head, and you're like, this is great. Marquinhos has had a really good day, and him and Nketiah both had a good day, both get a goal, both get an assist, and really good, really good. Marquinhos had a really good day. Basically, at this point, you're thinking he's probably one of the better players on the pitch. Um, really good, and we're up 2-1, and if the game should be on our side. We should start to push forward, and maybe try to put this thing away. Zurich puts in three players. A few minutes later, we put in three players. Now, the three players we put in, you're thinking, all right, we're trying to finish this thing off, right? Zinchenko, Erdegaard, and Saka are coming in now. Why Saka? I don't know. And maybe it's because, at this point we know there's no game this weekend, and probably no game the next weekend as well as in the Premier League. So it might be best to get some of our starters in now. Saka is a player I don't think needs to needed to have come in and play. At this point, we don't know if there's going to be European games or not, and most likely, if there is, we're probably going to have a strong side for that, just to get those guys games before the international break. So it's one of those things where, Saka probably didn't need to play in this one at all. We should have had been able to handle it the way we had it. Vieira coming off for me was a bit of a disappointment. Marquinhos off. Also, I would have liked to have seen them play. And, you bring in a Zinchenko and an Erdegaard. I would have liked to see, maybe Erdegaard doesn't have to come in. Vieira can continue and play the full 90. I would have liked to see that, especially if you're going to put Saka in and Zinchenko. So that's kind of what I was thinking at that point. The subs are all right, but that means one, we're expected to score some more if you make this sub. Two, maybe all the players that you took off, Tierney, Vieira, and Marquinhos, they have, they've got a set number of minutes, and you just want to give some players some time now. Once again, this sub happens at the 69th minute, and for me, I just feel like the 70-minute can't be the only time we can make subs. Um, we need to make subs for me sooner than that, especially if you think you're gonna want to give somebody some time to make a difference in the game. The later you put them in, the later they have opportunities to do that, especially depending on where the game is. If you're behind, or if you're just have a small lead like we do. And it's been one of those kind of games where their opportunities, though small, still scarier because anything can happen, especially with the way that they got their PK. So they come in, expect to see something, the game to pick up for you now because you're bringing in some of your starters. But not much. Jesus comes in, you're thinking, all right, even more. You're gonna go over your starting front four at this point, right? Still, I think the way the game was, it just wasn't gonna, that those changes did not have the desired effect. And you would expect us to score maybe one goal, maybe two at this point with that lineup in the squad that we're playing, who should be, you know, a little tired, right? They've been playing for 70 minutes now, but now we still weren't able to get um, good opportunities. And when I scroll through some of the play-by-play, not much is happening, that I'm like, well, that's, we're gonna score here. Everything was a little bit slow. I don't think these players had expected to come in and play, and it kind of looked like it. Because if they had expected to play, the mindset would have been different, and they might have been able to go in there and put a score in. Um, Erdecore does put in a nice pass. Jesus takes a shot, but it's saved by the feet of the goalkeeper. And that's kind of how the game ends. I mean, not as much as we should have scored more, but that's probably what I'm going to say for most games. But with this situation coming into the game, it shouldn't have been this close. Mm, should not have been this close. We should have been able to definitely, um, definitely should have been able to run away with this thing. Let me see. We go through some of the stats for the game. Um, let's see what we have here. So we pretty much had the ball for like 70% of the time, which means nothing, right? We know that means absolutely nothing. But we had almost double the number of shots, 10 to 18. We had definitely double the amount of shots on target. We had, 8 shots off target. Um, just too many. I think we need to, be much better at that. I believe. And 2 shots were blocked. So with that in mind, I mean, I think we should have scored more. And the 18 shots that we took is, that's with us missing some opportunities, right? So hopefully we got to improve. We got to have now 4 weeks, 2 Europa League games to play against teams that aren't as going to be as tough as Premier League games, but no, we have nothing else going on. So we should come into those games ready to go. not our legs will not be tired. We'll have our starting 11. There's talk that Partey will be back, so things will need to improve. I mean, we had four big chances in the game. We missed two. Um, I think the Vieira one, maybe one of the headers was a missed opportunity there. But we're giving ourselves chances, and either we need to give ourselves more chances or we need to be more clinical. Pick one. I don't care. I don't care. We had double amount of passes, pretty clean with the ball, like as we should be. We did get a lot of players time on, to play. And let's see. I think I was looking at the minutes that were played in the game. Let's get into that because that might be, for me, that's it might be cool to look at, how we did in that respect. Let's see. This is gonna let me see. Sorry, I got a little cough there. Do I have the minutes here? I do have the minutes. So yeah, where is the Arsenal minutes here? So yeah, so coming into the game, you've got Nketiah doesn't get a full 90, which I don't understand. He needs to play a full 90. I get Jesus needs to come in, but I don't think that was necessary, especially with the fact that you have a game on Thursday. So it's not, maybe get a little bit of a run out, but let him run out for somebody else like Martinelli or something. Martinelli got 90 minutes, and it would been good to let Nketiah get the full 90. Marquinhos got about 68. Saka got 22. Marquinhos, I don't know, maybe he wasn't ready to play 90, but he's going to have to play 90 for us. We're not going to, if we have an opportunity to play 90, he should play 90. Um, who else? Granted, always plays 90. Vieira, I would have liked to see him also play 90 and keep Erdegaard on the bench because Erdegaard came in and um, don't think if I'm looking at the stats, he did not even have an opportunity to put in an assist. So just not, just late in the game, we didn't get much out of him. Lokonga got all 90 minutes. He needs that over and over and over again. We're going to need a lot of him on the pitch when we can. Need to get him comfortable playing out there on the field. I don't think he's a six, but he needs to be able to play kind of in that role. We'll see how he does. But Partey coming back, Partey being able to practice should hopefully also be able to help with Zombie's development because now he's going to see how to play that position with somebody who's playing it as best as we can get out of an Arsenal player at this point. Tierney not playing a full game is probably not a surprise. Um, Not a surprise, and I think that's how we probably might have to utilize him. Does he need to get 90? No, not the way that we've seen him kind of break down. So I'm happy to see him come off. Zinchenko coming on, that's fine for me because of the situation with Tierney. Gabriel, oof, I I don't know. I think he's pressing. I think he's trying to do too much, and he's actually degrading his play by doing that. He needs to do the little things better, work on those, and not worry about trying to do too much because I see him a lot of times pushing the ball up the pitch, and I think that's too much. I think he needs to just continue to be fine with his defense and make sure his defensive is sound and clean, and it's not. So he needs to work on that and continue to be more cautious and aware of what he's doing there. Um, what else do we have? Oh, sorry. Tomiyasu got on 90. That's good to see. I kind of felt like, he looked like he, hadn't played in a while, and that's good. He'll just need more minutes. Eventually, we'll be able to rotate our fullbacks with Tomiyasu. Tierney, when he's ready, will play, but I think it's not necessary that he has to start every game or start certain games. It just whenever he's ready, whenever we need to give somebody a break, we'll bring him in, and we know we won't miss him. We won't miss him if he's that way, but he will be able to do a job. And once again, Matt Turner, same thing. He'll just need to have more games. Hopefully, whatever kind of butterflies he has will go away. He'll get more comfortable and confident. I think that's the key thing is he needs to get confident within himself and not allow other things to influence that. Like a bad pass, he needs to be comfortable that he knows what to do in every situation. Not all the passes will be, clean. Sometimes because of duress, sometimes because of a mistake. But he's going to have to be really calm back there. And I don't, maybe he's not confident yet, but he needs to get there. So, like I said, Arsenal is top of the, top of the group right now. We want to stay there. We've got PSV next week. We'll have a week off essentially, so we should be ready to go. Maybe with a starting 11. We'll see how that goes. So once again, I'll leave you with this. Zurich 1, Arsenal 2, top of the group. Really good display from Vieira and Marquinhos and Kedia as well. And I'll see you later. And like as I like to say, life is a journey. Don't waste the trip. Enjoy the ride. All right, everyone.